All right, so we are live. Hi, everybody. I'm Simone.
Hello, I'm Ashley. There we go. I'm trying to share. I'm so bad at multitasking. You'd think I just think.
We've had some technical difficulties. I don't know what's happening, but hopefully this is the end of it. Hopefully, you know, that's as bad as it gets. So,
Yes. All right, I have that up, so hopefully I can keep up with questions. Although,
yeah, I've got my phone up too. So, yeah, hopefully.
who knows? Oh, come on.
We have 7 people watching, so that's
That's
pretty cool.
impressive.
That's impressive. They were waiting for us.
I know. Sorry, guys. It was.
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna.
don't know what happened, but we had some glitchy, weird shit going on. So all seems to be okay now.
I'm gonna just go ahead and blame Virgin Mobile somehow.
Yeah. Blame COVID and the
Why not? I
clan.
like that one. All right, so I am going to remember how to screen share and we'll get the first low. Can you make me the co-host again?
Oh, right. Sure.
How's
So,
everyone?
in case you guys forgot, this is questionable advice, and we're answering questions related to work, love, sex, dating, and life. And you can send us your questions if you have any.
So,
Okay.
and of course, my screen share is not working the way I want it to.
Of
There,
course.
there we go. First slide.
Yay.
All right, so our first question, we could just dive right in.
Okay. Do you want me to read this or do you want to read it?
Maybe you should read it.
Okay. So business as usual, except it's not. The past few weeks have been very difficult for me. I'm the only Black person on my team. I'm the only non-white person, actually. And in each video meeting, it feels like there is a massive elephant in the room. I try to maintain composure, but it's hard. Only one of my coworkers, Jane, has reached out to ask how I'm doing. Neither of my bosses have reached out, and I mentioned to Jane that this was upsetting. She told me that there is a company policy against it because it would give the impression that I'm being singled out. But this feels like a bad policy. What harm is there to a manager reaching out to an employee who may be struggling? What do you think of this policy? How do I approach my managers? I think that's very timely and relevant right now, given the circumstances we're all in. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to approach it from a legal point of view because that's where my expertise lies. And I'm going to say that there is nothing in Ontario or Canadian legislation that prevents someone from reaching out to someone in any circumstance to make sure that they're okay. As long as you're not doing it in the middle of a Zoom call and you're not saying something that is clearly racist to the person as you're trying to check in on them, you're complying with all laws. And in fact, if you're part of a union, your managers might have an obligation to be looking out for the mental health of their staff. Mm-hmm. And I will say in this kind of climate, of course, if you're a white manager, it might feel a little, you might not know how to reach out. But in that case, I would say just own it, say, yeah. I'm not certain what to say in this situation, but I just want to make sure that you're doing all right and that you have access to the supports you need. If there's counseling that the company can offer, maybe let that person know. If you want to take some time off, like remind them of sick day policies, like you are certainly more than welcome to. Mm-hmm. I honestly think that it would bother me as someone else on that team if I knew that my managers weren't caring either. I think it reflects really poorly on the company that that's a policy.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. Like it's not like a legislative, it's not like a work, les normes de travail or a work standard. It's the writer said it's a company policy. So that's a dumb company policy, to, um, because being singled out, the thing is, no matter, I don't know if the writer is male or female, but they said that they're the only Black person and they're the only non-white person. So they're already singled out. You know what I mean? You're the only one there. And, given the circumstances that, given the climate, I think it's irresponsible of the managers not to address it in some way, because it's not just Black people who are upset by this, or, you know what I mean? Like everyone is like having like a day of reckoning with these things, and ignoring it, ignoring the issue, and ignoring an employee who is probably clearly in distress in the office and feels like my managers don't care. That's going to be a rough situation to be in. But what I think the person should do, I think it's a bad policy. It's a bad company policy, because it feels like kind of a chicken shit policy, so that they don't have to deal with anything.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to deal with anything. Not just checking on your non-white coworkers, like anything. You look like you're really upset. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to single that person out. That's, maybe look for another job. It doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like a very supportive or great place to work. But that aside, if looking for another job isn't an option at the moment, speak up, and maybe address it in such a way that it's like something along the lines of like, I know you probably don't know what to say. I'm not doing well, and this is very stressful, or whatever the emotion is. And just like how your suggestion was for the managers to just own it, I think this person should just own it and say, the situation sucks for me, because I feel like I am being targeted as well as like my entire community. And I understand that this is difficult for you, but I want to let you know that I'm not doing well, and I'd like your support, or I need your support, something along those lines. Because if they have that policy in line, they are definitely not going to approach this person.
Yeah.
Which is really terrible, because I don't know, if you work very closely with people, you spend, when you went back in the olden days when we were in offices, you spend more time with your coworkers than you do with your own family sometimes.
Yeah.
You're spending 30 plus hours with people, so they're going to know, they're going to notice when you're off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And to be off and not acknowledge that, I think that's kind of cold. So if the writer wants, I think that they should just like address the giant elephant in the room.
Yeah. And maybe to mention it's a bad policy. Like give some back. Like, I get that it's not on you, manager man, or whatever, but like someone needs to know that this is a shit ass policy.
Mm-hmm. Like, that people need support from work. Mm-hmm. And asking someone how they're doing isn't singling them out.
No, exactly.
It's checking on their welfare.
Yeah.
It's checking on their welfare. And there's a big difference between singling somebody out and asking about their welfare.
Yeah.
So it still sounds like a shit place to work, so they should quit.
We'll have to tackle finding a job in COVID next episode. So that's
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to move on?
Yep. Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on that one?
I think this person, I think you're right. They should approach the manager. And I would just mention that like it's a bad policy in the policy.
Yeah. And if nothing changes, then as soon as they're able, start looking for another place to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So
or at least continue working there, knowing that you'll have no support at all.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You need to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to go from.
Oh, I've got one comment. There's a comment about that. That's
Sorry.
from my cousin. It's from my cousin Deli. And
Huh.
she says at her workplace, she says, we are doing open forums. So exactly, Simone, everyone is having a moment. Yeah. Like that's a good way to do it.
I think so too.
You know, because it's just addressing it straight on and everybody has feelings and thoughts about it. So thanks for the comment, Delia.
Yeah. Okay, now I've lost my screen. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So there we go. We're going to go from very serious topic to a little more light. Gotta break the tension. We're comedians, right?
Exactly.
Do you want me to read this one?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, my husband has one very bad habit. He absentmindedly picks at his toenails while watching TV and will then leave the remnants on the couch, coffee table, and floor. I've spoken with him about this several times over the past 2 years, telling him it's gross and unhygienic and potentially embarrassing. What if guests came over? He nods and says he understands, and then a few months later, I'll find another present of toenail clippings. I feel disrespected and disgusted, and with the lockdown, it's only gotten worse. It's gotten to the point where I've started to put them in his coffee cup in the morning. I'm not proud of it, but I do find some relief in knowing that he has to confront his gross habit before he can enjoy his morning coffee. What else can I do?
First off, that's disgusting. Her husband is disgusting and she should divorce him immediately. That's, I wonder, because she says she's saying she's putting his whatever, the things in his coffee cup, but she doesn't say if he notices or not.
That's true.
She didn't say if he notices.
I mean, I just when she's like, he has to confront it before he can enjoy his coffee. I'm hoping.
Yeah, like I wonder if he's like, oh man, and then pours it out, or if he's just like, do 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 do, and she's like secretly like, you asshole, you disgusting pig, as he's drinking his toenails. That's nasty. That's just disgusting. Like you shouldn't do that. Like there's a time and a place for everything. We all have to clip our nails. We all have to do things like that, but most normal people will do it in a bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, and not just leave, you know, or if you're doing it on your couch, like you're going to be careful to pick up all the little all the little pieces. That's just gross. That's nasty. Ugh. Did she say he's been doing this like the duration of their relationship, or
the way she phrased it, she said she'd spoken to it several, like over the past several years, and she'd spoken times.
It's
so
just not. Ugh.
And it looks like she's just like a month later, so it seems like he's, you know,
like he tries to contain it,
and then he falls back into the habit of.
But she needs to divorce him.
Yeah. I think they deserve each other. I think that what she's doing is equally as disgusting.
Yeah, that's disgusting too. That's gross. The fact that she's touching it. She's touching it to put it in their dishes, on their dishes. Yeah, they're both gross. Actually, It's true. Scratch that. They deserve each other. They're both disgusting. But I don't think he's gonna change his habits. Like she can talk to him. He's gonna stop for a little while, but it's gonna. I don't know what has to happen for him to be like, okay, I'm never doing that again. But it doesn't seem like, you know, when he reforms for a little while, it doesn't stick. So I don't know what he's supposed to do. I don't know. I know I wouldn't put up with it. That's disgusting. Yeah.
My only suggestion is wait till lockdown's over. Find a little pile. Invite his best friend who roasts him every time he does anything wrong. Invite that guy over.
That guy probably wouldn't find it gross because, you know, birds of a feather. He's probably equally disgusting.
I don't know. Like, I feel I don't know. I think that the men that I know would be pretty grossed out by that. And I
Yeah,
really, like, if one of them went to another one's house and found something disgusting, there is no way that other guy would ever live that down. Toenail clipping man would be what's on his headstone. You know what I mean? Like, double down if they're comedians, because you know
yeah,
that one
forget.
will produce him at an open mic by like, and this guy leaves his toenail clippings everywhere.
Yeah. Oh.
That's what I think the only way that any change will happen is if someone that
Yeah,
guy
if his buddies
like
roast him
roast
for
him.
it. Oh
Yeah.
my God. We have a comment from Tom. Hi, Tom. And
Hi,
he
Tom.
says, is there a low calorie toenail alternative for coffee?
Yes. So what you have to do is you have a low cal diet yourself, and then things that your body grows have to be low cal too by default, right? That's how it works. If cartoons have
If
taught me
you're low cal, all the pieces are low cal.
right, if cartoons have taught me anything, that's how it works. Fine.
That was nasty. That was disgusting. I hope there are no more gross ones
I needed
happening.
to dispel the tension.
Okay,
Okay, next one.
I think I read this one.
Hello. Okay,
Nope,
one
that's
second.
not it. I
There
don't
we go.
want to read that one again.
There we go.
Okay, it's a birth, not a party. My son John and daughter in law Sam are expecting their first child and my first grandchild in a few months. In our region, Sam is permitted to have up to 3 support people in the delivery room with her. To my dismay, she has decided that only John and her mom will be allowed. I am stunned and hurt by how unfair this decision is. I've tried to talk to them about this choice, but Sam insists that she wouldn't be comfortable with me there. I reminded her that I've been a doctor for the last 40 years. There's nothing I haven't already seen. How do I get them to see how unfair and cruel this decision is?
All right. Do you want to
People.
tackle this one or do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
So, I've given birth and it's gross. Like, it's awful. You are at your absolute worst and best and then worst again.
And most vulnerable because you're like, just...
It's terrible. And I had a midwife and a doula. So I had a very like it was supposed to be very like ashy
very,
and it was
yeah, very
terrible
gentle and yeah.
and disgusting. And the amount of people that shove their hands inside your vagina is appalling. I don't even know, like they didn't even introduce themselves. I'm like, can you guys buy me a
They're
drink?
like, hey.
Like, and I was allowed to have beverages and stuff because I had a midwife, so I didn't have to follow the no food rule. So it got to the point where I was like, if you are sticking your hand inside of my body, you have to bring me a popsicle. Like that is, but it's terrible. It's gross. It's ugly.
That's my rule too.
You shit on the table, like no matter what, you shit on the table,
Well,
and
you're pushing so hard.
no
Like,
baby book tells you that you shit on the table either. By the way, it's awful. It's gross. I didn't even want my own mother in with me. I barely wanted my son's dad with me, and we were together at that time. Like, it is awful and embarrassing and horrible. And the worst thing that could happen is that you have someone in that room who does not give a shit about your boundaries or your opinion. And it sounds like Sam's, like the letter writer, Sam's mother in law, is one of those people that would not listen to Sam when she says, these are my boundaries. So, yeah, like I titled it, It's a Birth, Not a Party.
yeah, exactly.
If the woman doesn't want you there, you get the fuck out of there. Like, that,
Exactly.
and sure, you've seen everything, but that doesn't mean Sam wants you to see her vagina. Like, I would not want, I mean, I'm not married right now, probably not gonna get remarried, but if I do, I would not want my mother-in-law to know what I look like down there. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't need to know. That's just
Exactly.
also, you're not keeping that area tidy at that point. When you are that pregnant, you can't reach it to groom yourself.
Yeah.
You're not even at your best there.
Because see, like I haven't given birth, I don't have kids, but I just, you know, I don't think you need to have kids to have a like a perspective on this. And it's like, If the daughter-in-law wants to have three circus clowns in there with her, she can have three circus clowns in there with her. Just because she's allowed three people doesn't mean that the letter writer has to be one of them. And like what you said, like the boundaries, and just the fact that the letter writer said, I've been a doctor for 40 years, there's nothing I haven't seen. That's probably why you're not allowed in there if you keep lording all that information over people. And the thing is, I'm assuming, like I said before, I don't have kids, I've never given birth. I'm assuming that you want your environment as calm and you want to be as comfortable as possible. Like I was married, and hell if I would have had my in-laws in the room with me. And I like my ex-mother-in-law, if she wasn't such an illiterate bitch, would have probably written something like that, because I would have been, I'll have three circus clowns instead of her. I don't want her in here.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And it would have been a big fight. But it's like, I don't like you, you don't like me, I'm not comfortable with you. Why would I want you in there? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And even if you have a good relationship with your in-laws, maybe you want your best friend in there. Maybe you want your partner, your mother, and your best friend in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people getting all bent out of shape and I'm hurt and all of this. Fuck you. Like get over yourselves. It's not about you. And like the title said, it's not a party. You're at the hospital. You can be at the hospital and it's your first grandchild. Revel in the joy of your first grandchild is there. And the thing is, I'm sure being the in-law, because I'm not sure. I'm assuming that the writer is a woman.
I believe it was. I think I did
Yeah.
edit. I think the name was very identifiably a woman.
Okay. So yeah. So I'm assuming this is the mother-in-law writing the letter,
Hmm.
that she's going to be one of the first people to see this child
Ah,
after he or she is born. So whatever medical personnel, her son and his wife's mother are the first two non-medical people, and then I'm sure she's next.
yeah.
you know I'm sure she's going to be at the hospital. I'm sure her son is going to come out with this new baby and say, look here. So she needs to calm the fuck down. Like stuff like that makes me mad. Because it's like, it's so petty. It's just so freaking petty. Like,
Yeah.
let the woman have a peaceful birth, for God's sakes.
Well, yeah, she's giving you
You
your
know?
first grandchild. Say thank you.
Yes. Yes. Say thank you. Exactly. Say thank you. Be grateful. Be happy. Pray she gets through it safely. Pray she and the baby, are okay and everything. And then just revel in your grandchild once he or she is born, you know? Because I have a lot of friends who have kids, and I know when like my friends were having kids, I was like, please don't ask me to be in the room. Because it's like, I don't know if I could deal with that. I don't know if I could deal with that. So
I
it's
would,
like, I will be at the hospital. I will be right outside your door if you want me there, but please don't ask me to be inside and or cut anything or just watch, because no.
I
I
will,
don't want to be, I don't need that. Like,
I'm a queer woman. There is a chance, and I'm of the age where I could attract a queer woman who might want a child. So
mhm.
there is a chance that I could wind up with a woman who would be in labor. I wouldn't want to be in the room.
Most spouses, because I know most men that I know now, like today, who have kids, were in the room. But I'm sure if given a choice, they would have been like, hell no, I will wait outside, I will be anywhere but in there. But they
Oh
know
yeah.
like they're gonna get killed if they're not in there with her.
Well, that's and
But
that's
I'm sure most men don't want to be in there. They love their children. I'm not saying they don't love them and aren't excited that they're coming, but they'd rather not be in there.
yeah, for sure. Well, that's exactly like if it were my wife, for example, I would so much be happy that she's having our child.
Yeah.
Better her than me giving birth to that baby too. Like, but yeah, I don't. It's scary. It's frightening. It's awful. It's chaotic. I can't control anything
Yeah.
anymore. It's no,
Well,
like
like for example, when I was born, my mom, like my father, was probably in a waiting room smoking cigarettes with the other fathers. You know what I mean? And my mom basically said, they knocked you out, you woke up and you had a baby, sort of thing. There wasn't this like, oh, come, let's eat cheese and drink wine and we'll have music playing and all these people come floating through, because I always said, like, if I was going to have kids, like my ex-husband, well, he would have been my husband at the time, not my ex, but he
Yeah.
would be in there, and probably my mother,
Yeah.
not his mother, because like don't like her, but if I was going to have like a bunch of people in there, it would have been my ex-husband and my mom. And I think even my mom would be like, I'll hang out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people
Yeah.
make too much of a big shtick about that, and it's up to the mother. It's up to the mother to be who she wants in there, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
And I think privacy is pretty awesome
Yes,
because you don't
yes,
have
yes.
when you're in, like, so it's nice to give it. Like, wouldn't that be a wonderful gift for the letter writer to give her daughter-in-law?
Yeah, just a little
For
bit of privacy.
for your birth, I will give you privacy and shut the fuck up about it.
Exactly. And she's going to have a whole lot of opinions once the baby's already here. So
Yeah.
at least let your daughter-in-law enjoy these hours without you. You know what I mean?
Uh, on that note, let's go to the next one. Okay. I hope I don't. There we go. I
Okay.
forget. Your turn to read.
No, yours.
Okay. Oh, I love this. So, a coworker used Comic Sans, which, for those of you who don't know what that is, it is a font that is universally mocked for not being professional. It is a bad font. It was created for comic books. It's perfect in comic books. It is terrible in every other form of communication.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, though, side note, if you have writer's block, switch your font to Comic Sans. And for some reason, it has always helped me get out of it. And there's like a whole,
Because your brain is like, I hate Comic Sans.
yes, get out of this. Anyway, a coworker used Comic Sans in an official document that would be seen by virtually everyone in the organization. His team and my team often work closely together, collaborating on projects. He's above me, but not directly so. I fixed it before the document went live, but now I need to tell him that Comic Sans is not a professional font. He's located in India, and I'm not sure how familiar he is with American typography. American typography. Wow, words are hard. Etiquette. How do I approach this?
I think, yeah, I think this is pretty straightforward. It's just, he should just tell the employee that, the company standard is anything except Comic Sans. That, because, like, say in my job, for certain, like if you're doing PowerPoint presentations or, news releases or something, there are standards that you have to follow. So it's like standards on font size, acceptable fonts, acceptable font families that you can use, whether it's Times New Roman, Calibri, or whatever. So you could let them know that, well, say in the event that they don't have this standard thing, they could say, if you're issuing anything to, the North American headquarters, please do not use Comic Sans,
Yeah.
because it's used for comic books, or, you can give an explanation about it and maybe suggest some fonts to use,
Mm-hmm.
and let them know that, I couldn't send it this way because it was in this font. And so I changed it to this font, and going forward, can you please, I think, I don't know if, because they said this person is above them, but they don't report directly to them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe maybe they had an assistant who typed it
Yeah.
up. Most likely it was an assistant. Maybe reach out to the assistant,
Yeah.
and say, hey, don't use that. Your boss is going to be mocked as fuck like this. Because that, like, you can't take that font seriously. It doesn't matter what the context is or what the content of your email or your document is. If it's in Comic Sans, it's a joke.
Yep.
It's
I
not taken seriously.
I once worked at a law firm where the senior partner would send all of his emails in bright blue Comic Sans, and he didn't get it. Why we all made fun of him.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the thing is, and it should be, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I was going to say it should be obvious, but clearly it isn't.
Mhm.
That there are just certain fonts that you should, not that they're bad fonts, but they just shouldn't be used in, you know, company
Yeah,
communications.
yeah,
You know, that you use, as boring as they may be, those are the ones you have to use because they're also easier to read. You know what I mean? And
yeah. And I do think that stresses the importance of having consistent branding in any kind of corporation too. Like you were saying,
exactly.
most places do have this is our standard font. Like where I work, we use, one font for letters and another font
Yes.
for wills, but it's always this font for wills
Mm-hmm.
and always this font for letters. It's a
Exactly.
yeah, it's
Same
a
with my organization.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
You
that
know, and like too many, like even like the structure of a document, like like say if it's a PowerPoint presentation, no more than 3 lines, or like, the smallest font you should use on a PowerPoint slide is, 14 or something like that, like some kind of standard. And if they don't have standards in place, maybe someone should do that.
yeah, yeah, I think
You know.
it's a very smart idea because it does avoid that sort of complication, but it
Hmm.
also means that all of your stuff looks sort of the same. So even if you do
Yes,
have 4 teams working on a project, your final project's going to still look coherent. You don't
exactly.
have to have your poor administrative assistant sit down at her computer for 5 fucking hours going through 700 different kind of documents, making all of
Yeah.
it the same. It's just a really,
Yeah, making them all the fonts the same, making them all the same size.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
will
no,
save
that's
you
true.
money in the long run.
Exactly,
Yeah. So that was
exactly.
an easy one.
That was an easy one. No Comic Sans.
Yeah, unless you are writing the next Watchmen, which
Yeah,
interesting.
unless you're writing a comic book or something like silly and lighthearted,
Yeah,
you know. Okay, I think I read the next one that's come
yeah,
out.
there you go.
Okay. Am I too picky? I'm a single man in my 30s. Is it wrong that I don't want to date a single mom? I don't want to get involved in the messy and complicated situation that always goes along with it. I also don't want to be responsible for someone else's children. Hell, I haven't even decided if I want kids of my own yet. However, most of the women I meet, I feel compatible with, i.e., we have similar interests and senses of humor, I enjoy spending time with them, etc., are single moms. Should I just bite the bullet? Is it wrong that I don't want to be with a single mom? I have lots of thoughts about this one.
Me too.
Go ahead.
Um, I will say first, like first of all, I have a joke in my act about guys who are like, I don't want to raise someone else's kid, because I hear it all the time. And what's interesting about it is usually the guy who says it has had an experience where he has been with a single mom who has forced him in a role that he doesn't want to be in. So
Yeah.
and I get the fear, like, you know what I mean? I've always said, like, if a dog bites you and you have fear of dogs after, that makes sense. A single mom bit that dude, he's got a fear of single moms after. That makes sense. And as a single mom, it's not that I'm offended by that. I mean, that's a red flag and I don't want to be with him anyway. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
You don't want to be with me, I don't want to be with you.
Yeah.
But I think what that letter writer needs to also know is that not all single moms are like that. I don't normally introduce my child to the people I date. There have been like very notable exceptions. And most of the men that he's met that I have dated, he's met when they were friends before we started to date.
Mm-hmm.
So it would get to the, you know what I mean? And then he's kept in the closet. It's not any of his business what I'm doing when he's not with me. Um, so I wouldn't want the guy I'm seeing to want to raise him. And I also wouldn't want the guy to think that he had any authority over my child. Like,
Exactly.
if you meet him, your role is kid's best friend. Like the best person I was with that Cooper knew I was with knew that his role was Cooper's buddy. Like he knew that he wasn't a parent. So this guy, if that's how he feels, that it's just going to be complicated because it always is, then do avoid single moms for our sake.
Yeah.
Most of the women that you're meeting and you find that you're compatible with them, then maybe it's worth asking how they feel about dating because single moms aren't a monolith. We don't all feel the same. And maybe that girl that you feel connected with is at a point in her life where she's feeling kind of like I am, where it's like, I don't want you to feel like you have any obligations to my kid, blah, 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 blah. I don't even want you to think that you get to meet my kid. You know, that's a privilege that goes along with being with me that you don't get by default. Like, you get to meet my kid if you earn it. And so maybe the letter writer, not he needs to bite the bullet, but maybe he needs to learn how to communicate those feelings with the women he is interested in to see if his fears are founded or not founded. But yeah, if he's just going to be like, single moms are all bad, then don't talk to us.
Yeah, leave them alone. Yeah, like I'm coming at this, I have a couple different perspectives. Like to address the letter writer directly, like that letter directly. Um, it's within his rights if he doesn't want to date someone with kids. That's fine. And it's the sooner he realizes that and avoids people with kids, the better for both parties. Like you said, leave us alone. Um, but from another perspective, like if he wants to meet someone and have a relationship and stuff like that, he's in his 30s. The chances of him meeting someone without kids is pretty low. And if he like swears off single mothers, he's just cut his he just cut prospects by God knows how much. He's just cut a lot of people, a lot of great people, potential, compatible people that he could have a great relationship with out of the picture, sort of thing. So,
Well, and like
you
there are
know,
disaster single people, there are disaster single parents,
exactly,
you know?
exactly. Like I knew a woman many years ago who where I could see if this guy met her that he'd be like, oh fuck no, like this,
Yeah.
because she would introduce some guy she went on one date with to her kids right away, and the guy's like, whoa, sort of thing, you know what I mean? And like I don't have kids, I'm like a unicorn that at like my age, I'm divorced, I was married, I'm not married anymore, thank God, but we didn't have kids together, and it just never happened. But if you all know how much I hate dating sites, but in the event that I'm on them or I meet somebody in like the real world, not right now, they'll ask me, do you have kids? And it's no. And they're usually like, oh, because they're used to meeting people with kids, sort of thing. So I know I'm a unicorn, sort of thing. Um, but where was I going with this? Okay. So um like you were saying, just because somebody has kids doesn't mean that they want you to meet their kids right away.
Mm-hmm.
Because the single parents that I know, single moms and dads, like parents, the
Yeah.
parents that I know who are not with their child's other parent, anyone they're dating, it like you said, they have to earn the right to meet their child, and they're not just gonna, they'll say, yeah, I've got 2 kids or I've got 3 kids or whatever, I've got kids at the beginning, but until you're in an established relationship, they're not introducing their kids to you. They're not just going to introduce some random person to their kids because their kids are their priority. And kids get attached,
Yeah.
people get attached, and if it doesn't work between the two of you, and then the kid's like, well, where's so and so, sort of thing, how come so and so's not here, and then 2 weeks later you bring somebody else in, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And like I was in a situation where I was the one, this was many years ago, when I was still living in Montreal, and I went on one date with this guy, and I ended it after that date. Um, he was a single father. He had 3 little boys, and after our first date, which went okay, I was like, he's a nice guy, whatever. Um, After our first date, he left me a message the next day saying, I had a great time. I want to see you again. How about you come out to my house and me and the boys will make dinner for you? And I was like, nope, 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 nope. He showed me pictures of his kids. They were freaking adorable. They were little. They were like, I think the oldest one was like 7. They ranged in age from like 3 to 7 or something. Adorable. I don't want to meet them.
Yeah.
I don't want to meet them.
Yeah.
I don't know you yet. I've met you, we've gone on one date. It went really well. I like you. I know you have these 3 kids. Don't push them on me. Don't push me on them. Don't push them on me.
Yeah.
So like our second date, he wanted our second date to be me to go out to his place because I was in Montreal and he lived in Van Cleek Hill, which is pretty close to the Quebec border. So it wouldn't have been like a major trip or anything, but he wanted our second date for me. He wanted our second date to be me going to his house and having dinner made by him and his 3 boys. And I was like, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with that. And then I've also had where, and I remember I was seeing this guy for more than once. I think it was like a couple of weeks, but every time we spoke, he like dropped some other like bombshell that I should have known like from day one.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for example, we were talking one time, like I was planning a trip to Windsor because for work and everything. And he was like, oh, I'm from Windsor, maybe I can come along and everything, which I was like, meh. But aside from that, we're trying to figure out like a date to see each other again. And this was like, maybe would have been like date 5 or 6, something. So like well into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, how about Thursday? And he's like, oh, Thursday I have my daughter. I can't on Thursday. I have my daughter on Thursday. He never told me he had kids. And I was like, oh, you have a daughter. And he's like, yeah. Is that a problem? No, it's not a problem, but it's something I should have known like 6 weeks ago.
That's weird. You wouldn't, yeah.
Yeah, like, and so it's like coming from different perspectives. Like I know there are like all kinds of rules about you don't say this on a first date. You don't say that on a first date. But I think things like kids, if you have kids or you don't have kids, first date, the person should, I think even before you meet the person, they should know whether you have kids or not.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a big thing. I also know of people, like I know a guy personally, this happened years ago again, where he was going out with this girl. He really, really liked her. And then like 3 or 4 months in, that's when she said, I have kids. And he's like, I thought you didn't have kids. And she's like, yeah, I didn't want to tell you because I was afraid you wouldn't like me if, you found out that, I was this age with kids. Like she had kids when she was really young, but still. Yeah. And he was like, he felt kind of tricked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No disclosure.
I think stuff like that, it needs to be, whether you have kids or don't have kids, needs to be disclosed right away. You're under no obligation to date someone with kids or without kids, but you shouldn't be biting the bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that expression, like biting the bullet sort of thing.
And like really have, like I said, have a conversation because not all single parents are the same.
Exactly. And exactly. It's like a case by case thing. Like,
yeah. And I mean, really, most of the men that I've actually dated have been upset with me for not introducing them to Cooper sooner or at all.
Yeah.
Or telling Cooper that I'm dating. Like, there was one friend I dated 3 years ago, and the guy was around all the time before we started dating. So I had to keep bringing him around after so it didn't seem weird. But the guy and I were like on a strict, Cooper doesn't know. And I mean, Cooper wouldn't have known it. His dad mentioned it in front of him, so it came out of the closet. But this was like 3 years ago, and the guy was really mad at me for it. And I remember saying, well, Cooper doesn't need to have an endless stream.
Yeah, exactly.
In and out.
Exactly. Like I'm never mad. Like I'm never mad if I don't meet. Okay, if I'm with you 10 years, I'm with you for 2 years, a year or two, and I haven't met your kids, that's a different story. But if we're just starting out, I'm not going to be like, I want to hear about your kids. Tell me about like what's the cute kid things that they do. Like, I want to know that stuff, but there's no rush. There's no rush.
Like I said, it's a privilege.
Exactly.
And it's like there are lots of little privileges. Like there's, having sex with someone is a privilege.
Yes.
Getting to meet their family is a privilege. Getting to
meet their friends, privilege. Yeah, all of that.
Anal is a privilege. Meeting my friends is a privilege. Like these are
Rimming is a privilege. Yes. Yes.
are things.
It's all privilege. But it's true. And so it's like, I'm never upset. Like, I've gone on 2 dates with this guy and he hasn't introduced me to his son or his kids. No, no, those things take time and those are delicate. You, I think it's a delicate situation. And I know, with the person I knew years ago who introduced her son to everybody, you know, to everybody, and I wasn't in a place to say anything to her. It's not my place, but I remember thinking, that's not cool. That's
Yeah.
not cool. And
Yeah.
then my own experience with like, well, me and the boys will make you dinner. That like turned me off right away, and I stopped seeing him. I was like, this is too fast for me.
But you see, you wrote off that one guy. You didn't write off all
I
three.
didn't write off all
Yeah.
single fathers or no, exactly, because it was that one guy, you know,
Yeah. All right. We
and
have
yeah.
one more question.
Okay.
What do we think? Okay. Come on. There we go. Is it me or you?
It's you.
Okay. I'm glad you're keeping track.
Yeah.
All right. My granddaughter Jen is getting married next summer and is currently putting together a guest list. And what I want to say too, just for this one, because gender might be important, the letter writer was again obviously a female. The name was just clearly feminine. I've been stripping out names and I haven't been replacing them. So sorry, I should start.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, clearly a woman. So my granddaughter Jen is getting married next summer and is currently putting together her guest list. I've heard through the grapevine that she is not planning on inviting my best friend Jody. Jody has been a huge part of Jen's life since Jen was born. She sends Jen money for her birthday, takes her for dinner whenever she's in town, and has generally been like a grandmother to her. Jen and Anna, her fiance, are getting some money from my son, Jen's dad, to help pay for the wedding. So it seems cruel not to invite Jody when it isn't even Jen or Anna's money. Exclamation mark. Jody will be heartbroken if she can't go. I'm thinking of telling them that if Jody can't go, I won't go. What do I do?
Grandma needs to calm the fuck down, is what grandma needs to do. Like her granddaughter and her fiance can invite whoever the hell they want to their wedding. It doesn't matter who's paying, unless it was grandma paying. If
Yeah.
grandma's paying, then grandma could say, okay, I can't remember the best friend's name. This
Jody.
person's on the get. You need to invite this. You need to invite Jody, sort of thing. And the thing is, she's not even sure because she said she heard it through the grapevine.
Yeah.
Unless her granddaughter's a total asshole, if this woman has been a big part of her life, of course she's going to be on the guest list.
Yeah.
If she's been such a big part of her life, she will have her on the guest list. And instead of like speculating and I'm not going to go to the wedding, just ask your goddamn granddaughter if Jody's being invited. Just ask her. Like, I don't see the problem with that. Ask her. And if she says no, you need to deal with that. And if you're going to, thing is threats. I hate threats. Don't threaten me.
Yep.
Sort of thing. If you're upset that, if you're so upset that you're going to forego your granddaughter's wedding because your friend hasn't been invited, you don't deserve to be there. You don't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, just ask directly. And, even if she asks directly and the granddaughter says no, because who knows, maybe they can only have, it's not a giant wedding with like 500 people. Maybe they can only have 30 people.
Yeah.
And they have to call the list, sort of thing. And it doesn't matter unless she's paying. She shouldn't be concerned about, oh, well, it's not even their money. Shut the fuck up, grandma.
Yeah.
That's none of your business. And if you really need to know, ask them directly and respect their response.
Yeah. What really appalled me with that letter was that grandma was ready to talk to her granddaughter to say I'm not going before she was ready to say, hey, is Jody coming?
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Yeah, she was so quick to outrage before clarifying.
Yeah. And the thing is, I through the grapevine. Who is this grapevine?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
And
like verify your sources first.
yeah.
You know, and the easiest way is to go directly to her granddaughter and say, "Hey, is Jody invited to the wedding?" And her granddaughter could say, "Of course Jody's invited to the wedding," or "I can't invite Jody because we're limited to 20 people."
Hmm.
You know, and dad says I have to, you know, dad says these people need to be on the list of whatever it is,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
Not that she owes her grandmother an explanation on her guest list,
true.
you know?
Yeah. I've always said, like, when I got married, and people wanted to have opinions, I started saying, you can buy shares to my wedding.
Yes, yes,
Absolutely. And
yes,
if you own
yes,
so many shares, you can get voting rights.
yeah.
But it's not going to A, trump what I want, and B, if you're not paying, shut your mouth.
Shut the fuck up. I know. Like when I got married
Right.
too, like my parents were very generous and paid for everything, but it was like I it's not my style anyway. I'm not a bridezilla type person. And, you know, I went over the list with my parents, like, is it okay if I have like, you know, this many people? And they're like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But, you know, except for my in-laws who felt, you know, certain way, like they threatened not to come. And I was like, don't come. I don't want you there. Actually, I'd rather you weren't there. So you're doing me a favor. They ended up coming, whatever. But the thing is, it's like, my parents were paying, so I wasn't in the position, and I wasn't about to be like, oh, you say I can only have 150 people, but I want 300. It's my special day, sort
Yeah,
of thing. No, it's like, you know, my parents are paying. If they say the limit is 150 people or whatever, stay within that. And, you know, some tough decisions may have to be made. Not everybody, you can't invite everybody, you know, nor should you. It should be
exactly.
people who, like, meaningful people should be invited to your wedding, sort
Yeah.
of thing, you know. And, you know, unless her granddaughter is just like a selfish, horrible person, if Jody is as close to her as the grandmother says, she will definitely be on the list,
Yeah. I think,
you
I
know.
think, grandma needs to talk to Jen,
Yes,
really.
yes. Instead of listening to grapevine
Whoever.
shit, which, yeah, exactly. Because who got that information? Where's
Yeah.
that
It's just my
information
cousin
coming
who was
from?
not invited, who was like,
Yeah,
oh,
causing shit.
yeah.
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 People are crazy. People put too much effort into like non-important things.
There's so much to be angry about in the world. You know, people put pineapple
Exactly.
on pizza and ketchup on steak. Like, there are lots of things to be angry about. That isn't your grand. That was the last
Oh,
question.
was it?
That
Okay.
was, and
Okay.
we're just at an hour, I think. So I'm gonna say thank you.
Yeah, just under an hour because we started late because of technical
Right.
difficulties. But yeah, no, we're good on time.
Perfect. So yes, please feel free to reach out to either one of us with your questions. We will strip all identifying details, and apparently I won't even come up with a new fake name, so there is nothing that can link these questions whatsoever. Um, we'll tackle questions we get from like anyone who's watched today. We'll take your questions before anyone else's. So please feel.
Yeah,
And if you use, I
exactly.
think, with my website, you have to register with an email address, but you can always use a dummy email address if you don't want me to know who you are too. That's fine.
Same with mine.
Yeah.
Same with mine. Yeah. And if we know who you are, like because you've used your own email address or you've contacted us through Facebook, it's in the vault. We will
Yeah.
not disclose anything
Yeah.
about that or you, or
Or anything.
this
Yes.
is a safe space.
Yes. We're good people, I promise.
We're good people. Yes, exactly. We're not assholes.
That should be our tagline.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. We're not assholes.
All right. I gotta go amend our promo materials.
Exactly. That's our brand. We're not assholes. Yeah.
We're not assholes. Love it. So thank you everyone for watching.
Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next Sunday at 4.
At 4. Oh, and
Okay. Bye.
at 8, check out both of our Facebook pages because we're on the same show tonight. And
Oh
everyone,
yes. Yes,
yeah,
we're doing stand up tonight at No Line to Cross. We'll each we sent out something promoting this show, and it has the link to that show, and that's at 8 o'clock. But we could probably both put something out.
I'll put something out
again.
around 8. Yeah.
So come check us out. We're really, really funny and talented and beautiful and everything. So you should.
You definitely want to see us in this light, and then also with our special nighttime lighting. So make sure
exactly. Nighttime lighting is kind of lit, I guess.
I love it.
I'm an idiot.
It was wonderful.
All right. Bye.